What I would say is, number one, be willing to learn all that you can. There's never a lesson, whether you feel like it wasn't the success you wanted, but just be willing to learn. Hard work, taking risks. I mean, the competencies that we talk about in WFF, the influence and awareness, how do you know what's going on with you, the taking risk, and then when something is uncomfortable, and this is probably the greatest lesson that I've learned of all the things that I've done in my career, it probably prepared me for where I am right now, and that is that when your number is called, say yes. As you know from all the research that we have talked about over the years at WFF, the mentoring is critical, the sponsorship is even more important. And that is someone really being able to talk about you when you are not in the room. One of the benefits of working in my past life as an executive consultant with companies, I found that so very often where you would be in a room and comments were made, and I would think that person has no idea. And it's not necessarily negative things, but it's people who say, well, you know, she just had a baby, so she probably doesn't want to travel. Did you ask her if she wanted to travel? So a lot of the pieces of the puzzle is really mentoring, so I know the skills I need to work on. But secondly is sponsorship, and that is really having the conversation with someone who will talk when you are not in that room is so critical. My mentors have been far and wide, and men and women. There's, in various parts of your life, you need true support from good mentors. So for example, from a business perspective, the person who has handled the finances for my company and for me personally for years has always been there with a conversation, and I don't make moves without having a conversation with him. My 9th grade English teacher probably was one of the best mentors. She's passed away, but one of the best mentors on the true grit of leadership. And I'll tell you that I'll share this lesson with you, which is probably not the best one, and she wouldn't be proud, but she'll forgive me. When I was 9th grade, I was in her English class, and she asked about a particular lesson we were working on. And she said, Hattie, can you do that? And I said, no, I can't. These days she would be arrested, but she picked up the book, which was a hardback about like this, and she threw it, and it came sailing right past my head. And she said, don't ever say what you can't do without trying. For those of you who know Arkansas, I was at the Hot Springs Rehabilitation Center and had been there doing my practicum for my master's, and I was placed on a psychology team that I was actually leading, but my boss was an older gentleman, and he was very uncomfortable with my age, very uncomfortable with me having this leadership role, and he thought his experience and my degree, those things just didn't match. And so I had to go in and really have conversations with him about how we were going to work together. And so my first meeting, I had the navy blue suit, ugly bow, and y'all remember that. And so I had my little notebook, and I had laid out, because I had actually been working with the students as a psychologist prior to the role, and they hired me on. So I knew the students we were working with was absolutely the expert, right? And so I went in and I had my little pad and I said, you know, I want to talk to you about this. So here's the things I think we need to do. And I'll never forget it. He leaned back in his chair. He looked at me sort of up and down. And he said, I have little respect for a so-called educated black woman coming in here trying to tell me what to do. Wow. Well, that was a bonding experience. And I thought about that, and I was like, okay. And so it was the end of the day. I went back home to my apartment, and I literally cried all the way home. I didn't take it quite so easily. But again, I called my mother on the farm, and I was telling her what happened. And of course, I'm boohooing and crying. And she said, well, baby, did he hit you? My mother is amazing. And I said, no, but I was telling him, and she said, but listen, you have 2 degrees. You need a job. Suck it up and go back in here and show him what you can do. Yes, ma'am. And it actually turned out to be one of the greatest experiences of my professional career. So very often, you will ask for things that you don't get. I think oftentimes as women, we take that as a defeat instead of an experience. And so you look at that experience and say, what did I learn from that? Because when things happen, they happen, that's life. But it's what I do with those experiences. You lose a job, the company closes down, whatever the case might be, you just have to use that experience to keep moving forward.